AEW Dynamite starts off with Tony Storm in a Chris Statler segment. It starts off with Tony Storm basically as mentioning her loss at All Out, as mentioning that she doesn't know who she is without the title, and that she thought that losing the title would make her feel better, but she felt worse, and that she needs the AEW Championship to feel like herself again. And she ends up saying that she doesn't understand and she doesn't get Chris Statlander. Then Chris Statlander responds, ends up saying that the reason why Tony Storm doesn't understand her is because she's constantly evolving, and that Chris Statlander ends up saying that she already knows the outcome of the match, and that she just needs to accept her fate that she isn't better than her. Then they both have this weird stare down, and they end up basically wanting to get in the ring with each other. They fight for like, I want to say like 40 seconds, and then they go back and forth whether or not they wanted to use the championship on each other, and then they just leave. This segment was so weird. Like, it was a bit ridiculous in my opinion. Now, I know they done some weird stuff on Collision as well, but this, I ain't gonna lie, this feud is, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. It's just very weird, very awkward. I get part of it is due to Tony Storm's character, but even still, I just feel like it's weird in the sense where it just seems way too goofy. Now, I like goofy things in wrestling. I do, but I feel like when it comes to your world title scene, it should be a bit more serious, in my opinion. Even if you want to make it a bit goofy, there's things I like that have been goofy. Like on NXT, they have plenty of goofy storylines I love. Ariana Grace, Carmen Petrovich, and the love story with her, Nikita Line, like, and Shanti Adonis. Even Ethan Page had goofy stuff with his North American title with Ora Mensa. Like, I like goofy things, but this just, I don't know, this entire segment just felt weird. Like, it felt goofy in a bad way. Because there is goofy stuff in a good way, goofy stuff in a bad. I was not feeling this segment. This segment just felt very weird, very awkward. Maybe if it was a different dynamic, it could work, because the goofiness worked with Mariah May, but even though Tony Storm is kind of serious with Mariah, I don't know. This just doesn't work. I just don't. For me, it just didn't work. Especially Chris Statlander. I love her, but my God, her mic skills was just. It was very weird. It just felt so forced, especially with Chris Statlander. It felt so forced. Tony Storm felt a bit more natural, but in this segment, Chris Statlander felt extremely forced with the words she was trying to say in this segment. But overall, we'll see how the match plays out. I'm hoping Chris Statlander retains. I'm just interested to see whether or not it's going to be a clean finish or not. But the match should be good overall. But this segment was just not doing it for me. This segment felt very awkward in my opinion. Afterwards, we end up getting the Gates of Agony versus the Hurt Syndicate in a tag team match. Why are we having this match on Dynamite right before the pay-per-view? I don't understand why, because they was already tied 1-1, and then the Gates of Agony won due to Ricochet's interference, so now they're up 2-1. So unless you're about to have the Gates of Agony win the third match at Wrestle Dream, I mean the fourth match at Wrestle Dream, I don't see the point of doing this match, because it's like, if you're just going to do 50-50 booking, what's the point? Because that's what it feels like right now. It feels like they're just doing 50-50 booking. You get a match, I get a match. You get a match, it just feels weird. Now, one thing that was good was that they actually pinned the Hurt Syndicate. It didn't end in disqualification or nothing. It was interference, but to be fair, it's the Hurt Syndicate. I expect the Hurt Syndicate to lose by interference. I don't really expect them to lose cleanly with the way they're presented. It makes sense why, but like I said, I'm just a bit confused on why we had this match when you literally have the pay-per-view match literally coming up. I just don't understand why we needed this match. Because if you're about to have the Hurt Syndicate win on Saturday, what was the point of having this match? Like, I just don't. Because 50-50 booking really don't benefit nobody. Nobody really wins. Nobody lose. Nobody gets over. No, like, it just doesn't really benefit no one to have 50-50 booking. So I'm hoping that's not the case. So if you're going to have the match, then the demand needs to beat the Hurt Syndicate if you're going to have. So, because there's no point if it's just having the Hurt Syndicate just get their win back in the trios match on Saturday. Like, there's just no point, because then it's like, who really wins the feud at that point? You're both tied. Like, I just don't understand, because the Hurt Syndicate, technically speaking, don't really get revenge, because all they're doing is just getting the get back from the loss they just took. Like, it just doesn't really matter. So hopefully we'll see how this all plays out. But I just feel like they're just going to do 50-50 booking to protect the Hurt Syndicate in this situation. But we'll see how this match plays out. Now we end up getting the only good thing on the show, to be honest, which is very unfortunate, but we end up getting Jon Moxley and Darby Allin in this face to face, which was really great. They have this like they're in this room that's built like a jet, like when you're visiting someone from jail. They have glass separating, have a little microphone in the middle. They had this like dark red lighting. It was really cool. I really enjoyed. The AEW need to do more of this. If they did more of this, the show would be a lot better. I'm not saying every segment needs to be like this, but they need more creativity because this was very creative. This wasn't your typical sit down that they typically have where two wrestlers just sit down. No, they actually put some thought and effort into this. If they put more thought and effort into their shows and actually think shit through, the show will be a lot better, but they typically don't. But this was really good. Starts off with Jon Moxley basically ends up saying that neither of them are going to quit on Saturday, and then he ends up saying that it's never too late for Darby to join the Death Riders. Darby responds, ends up saying that he thinks about joining the Death Riders every single day, and that he respects what Jon Moxley is doing. He understands his cause, but he doesn't respect Jon Moxley. He doesn't respect what he does. He doesn't respect Jon Moxley as a person, and then he ends up mentioning Bryan Danielson, the betrayal of Bryan. John basically ends up saying that sacrifices have to be made. This is about the future of the company, and he had to get sacrificed, basically. Darby responds back, ends up basically saying that a Wrestle Dream that the Death Riders will crumble, and that after the match, he ends up saying that all of the members of the Death Riders will start looking at Moxley differently, and they start to collapse, basically, which I'm hoping that is a tease of Tony Khan telling us that the Death Riders are coming to an end because please, we need the Death Riders to be over. They should have ended at All In, but for whatever reason they continued. But let's hope that is the case. Afterwards, we end up getting Darby getting attacked by Pac, constantly getting smashed between the walls and the windows. The window was covered in blood, which I really did enjoy. I thought that was really cool. This was a great segment. Really enjoyed it. Made me more excited about the I Quit match. Can't wait to see how this match played out. This was literally the only good thing about AEW Dynamite. We end up getting a quick segment with Don Callis family. They're celebrating his birthday. You got the members of the Don Callis family. They're in the room. Got presents. Got a little dinner table. Kyle Fletcher ends up playing this video of Konosuke Takeshita, who couldn't be on the show tonight, and he was about to review. He ends up mentioning, not being there, but he ends up mentioning that he just won the IWGP Championship in Japan, and that is his gift to Don Callis. And you get Okada turning off the TV on accident, which I enjoy. I do like what they're doing with Okada and Konosuke. I think the feud can be really good. The match should be great as well whenever they do feud. I like this. I like Konosuke getting some championship gold to compete with Okada because Okada does have the unified championship. So Konosuke has the IWGP championship, and I just realized that they might do a winner takes all. Yep, they're probably going to do a winner takes all. I just now realized because the Continental Classic is around December. They could easily just do winner takes all Continental Classic. Yep, I can definitely see that happening. But nonetheless, I like what they're doing. I like the Konosuke and Okada feud, or not a feud yet, but I like how them two not liking each other. I actually enjoyed this segment. This is one of the few times I actually find Okada entertaining for once in this segment. So I like what they did here. We get Jurassic Express, Kenny Omega versus the Don Callis family. Jurassic Express ends up picking up the victory. During the match, there was a moment where Jack Perry ended up sacrificing himself for Kenny Omega. That was the story they was telling, was Kenny and Jack Perry getting on the same page, which they ended up eventually getting on the same page. After the match, though, you get the Young Bucks. They attack Jurassic Express. Kenny Kenny distracts the Young Bucks. Jurassic comes back, and they end up taking out the Young Bucks and the rest of the Don Callis family. Nothing more to really say here. The only thing I have to say is, why is Jurassic Express after the Young Bucks? Just explain that and I'm cool. Because Jack Perry ended up having a little segment where he didn't explain. He ends up saying that he still has love for the Young Bucks, but he has to go after them because they didn't receive his phone calls. They didn't answer him back. So we're doing off-camera booking now. They're doing the Cody Rhodes and The Rock, basically. They're retconning things. Like, really? We're doing things off screen now? Really? They didn't call you back? Like, come on, bro. Like, really? That's the reasoning. I guess the match was fine, but we still, like, no explanation for why this match is happening. Like, come on. Like, we can't be serious right now. But the Kenny Omega and Jack Perry stuff was fine. Then we get the main event. The Ops ended up having a trios match. I'm not discussing the trios match because who cares? The Ops retained, of course. You end up getting a moment where Hangman ends up attacking, it was LFI, if I'm not mistaken, it was facing. Because LFI ends up attacking Samoa Joe. He ends up making the save, of course. Samoa Joe ends up picking up Hangman's title, basically shoves it into his chest, and then leaves the ring, and they have a little stare down. Overall, episode of Dynamite was very mid. It was a very mid show. You guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.